The Pennsylvania Game Commission is responsible for 1.4 million acres of state game lands throughout Pennsylvania. These game lands were bought with money derived primarily from hunting and fur taker license sales. They have been set aside for hunters, trappers, and wildlife enthusiasts to enjoy. Along with maintaining these lands for wildlife, the Pennsylvania Game Commission must make sure that they are safe for public use. On State Game Lands 51 near Connellsville, Fayette County, an abandoned limestone mine known as Casparis Mine has become a safety hazard. Inactive since the 1950s, this mine has been an attractive site for history buffs, curiosity seekers, and people just looking for a remote location to party. Individuals that frequented the abandoned mine site often left litter and built fires inside the caverns. These fires have created a dangerous situation by causing portions of the ceiling of the mine to fall through expansion from the heat generated from these fires. For example, this pile of limestone was once part of the ceiling. This dangerous and possibly deadly combination of fire and falling rock has prompted the Pennsylvania Game Commission to address this safety concern. The Pennsylvania Game Commission approved a surface mine reclamation lease with Laurel Sand and Stone of Ligonier, who awarded the project to Cenex, a drilling and explosive company out of Cuddy, Pennsylvania. Initially, the plan was to drill blasting holes down through the top layer of the mine. However, due to the weakened ceiling, this option was determined to be too dangerous for contractors, as the top layer of rock above the ceiling is as little as 10 feet thick in some places. Instead, explosive charges were placed in front of the mine entrances. Dale Ramsey, the project manager on this job, explains.
What we're planning to do here is to start at the far end. There's 85 holes here. The first 3 rows are 45 feet deep. The 4th row is 35 feet, and the keyway or last row is 25 feet. We're going to initiate from the far corner hole. The delays will actually work this way, and there'll be 117 milliseconds between the rows. What our goal is to actually pick this rock up and move it forward to fill in the old portals.
Prior to blasting, Pennsylvania Game Commission officers secured the area both before and after the mine was swept or cleared by the Department of Environmental Protection's deep mine safety inspectors. 2 trucks loaded with more than 24 tons of explosive compounds begin filling in the holes. The ingredients needed to do the job are moved through the system by augers and mixed at the hole before being poured. Once detonators are installed, the site is cleared of personnel. Watch as the explosions start with the nearest holes to the openings. The holes closest to the openings were the deepest, drilled to a depth of 45 feet. As the blast continues, you can see how the first row is pushed up and the following rows are detonated microseconds later. Watch as we slow down the video. If you look close, you are able to see the detonator spark as it goes down the line. The Laurel Sand and Stone Mine Reclamation Lease in Cambria County on State Game Land 79 provided funding for this project. Bill Capullas explains.
Yeah, this is a clear example of what our mineral recovery program for the Game Commission does. Although the actual mining that is funding this program is not occurring here, it's occurring several counties away, Cambria County. But that mining was a sandstone mining, and in that, part of what we try to do is have an accumulative benefit for the sportsmen, for the Game Commission, recreational use and habitat. And because of the need here on this site, we tied it into the mining that was going on there, and that part of the lease conditions was that that company had to come in and close this mine. And so not only does it address a safety issue for the Game Commission, it's also improving the recreational use and the safety of this particular game lands complex, but it's also providing additional habitat, critical, unique habitat for bat hibernaculars now and in the future.
Once the sandstone has been pushed into place, 2 openings will be left to mount metal grates. These grates are designed to allow bats and Pennsylvania Game Commission staff to enter the mine. Additional funding to assist with the placement of the gates was provided by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service through the Partners for Wildlife program. Prior to shutting down these openings, very few bats used the mine because of disturbances from vehicle traffic inside the mine and smoke from campfires. Bats require a constant habitat which closing the mine will create.
With the Youghiogheny River over the hill here, this is a corridor, a river corridor that a lot of these bats use. The small-footed bat and the Indiana bat, which are both threatened species, use this river corridor a lot, both for feeding and for summer roosting sites. And then there are a few other hibernacula along this area, and so we're hoping that because this area is used so frequently by many bat species, that in their regular day-to-day movements they'll discover this cave and they'll identify it as being good winter habitat, and they'll come and start roosting here in the wintertime for their hibernation.
This project is just one of many examples of the work the Pennsylvania Game Commission does to manage our state game lands and improve wildlife habitat throughout the Commonwealth.